Okay, so we're back with episode 4 of Monstruo, the case of Jean-Claude Romand. By the way, I am Mike Boudet.
And I'm Jack Luna.
And I'm Tyler Bell.
Welcome, Tyler. This is your first appearance on the Monstruo Aftershow. And for those of you that don't know, we have mentioned your name a couple of times, but for those of you that don't know, Tyler did the majority of the writing for this entire series, along with Jack and myself. And he knows a hell of a lot about this case.
Yeah, Romand, what a worm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he was interesting to get into. A fun fact about Romand, we actually wanted to give up on him. Before I came onto the project, Jack was like, I can't even figure out what we're going to do with this dude. He just killed his family. He's a huge piece of shit. And I have no idea like what we can even write. And I was like, let me try this. I think that's all we need.
Yeah.
Now I think it's one of Jack's favorite episodes. So we turned it around.
Yeah.
And I love how it takes place in almost a sort of dream state. There's all these sequences in it that slip in from his delusions and his sort of waking dreams to reality and back. And it's sort of hard to sometimes figure out whether you're in real life or in his mind.
Yeah, it kind of goes to our theme of, trying to connect with the killers a little bit. The one way you can do this, dude, is just make him like the worm he might actually be in real life, where he's just, I don't know, he just killed people. But none of his conclusions about how to solve that problem of his wife finding out about his infidelities and his lack of a job made any sense to me. So I figured, why not kick the brakes off of this and just go completely Shining with it, as Jack keeps making the allusions to.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. Tyler was in close contact with Hagar Barak, who was the researcher on this, who I had researching Dark Topic, and then they started to speak, and she was able to get a lot of information there where Tyler could really run with it. And one of the bits of information was that his father was a forester. And that opened up the avenue where Tyler was able to write about this backburn, this burning out the trees for the fire that might be coming. And that's some foreshadowing right there. And foreshadowing happens multiple times throughout this episode. I think that part of this episode is very interesting, with the 3 little pigs, the coming fire, and even in the beginning with the spider, the web, the intricate web that he's woven, and it's all around him, right? It's collapsing.
Yeah.
And he eats that web at the very start too, right? He pops the web into his mouth, just like a spider does when the elasticity of the web starts to fade and the stickiness is not, and it eats it, absorbs it. There's a lot going on here, man. There's a lot to write about, we found.
Dude, that little bit about the forest fire thing was great. I mean, I don't even think that she had anything about controlled burns in that. I just remember that from, I used to live in Camp Lejeune when I was in the Marines. And they would do controlled burns in the like sort of marshlands there. If you've ever seen it, it's the most horrifying thing ever. Like the forest is on fire, but none of the trees are. It's just like creeping past like the undergrowth and stuff. And you just like be driving, and then you see like a few dudes standing on the side of the road. It's just like this whole field is just ablaze, and they're like, "Don't worry, this is intentional. This is fine."
Yeah, the fire to come is an amazing metaphor, and I love a lot of the different scenes in this story are pretty amazing. Some of the ones that stuck out to me, for example, when he goes into the shop and the shop owner immediately recognizes him as sort of an amateur, not a real hunter. Mm-hmm. He's trying to play it off. He's trying to keep this facade up, and it's something that the person in front of him is seeing right through.
Yeah.
But he thinks he's getting away with it.
Yeah. That was an opportunity there to show that, he's lying. He lies to the shopkeeper. He can't help but lie. It's not even necessary for him to lie, but he can't help but do it because he's a liar.
Yeah.
And he enjoys it.
So that's just what those kind of people are. They always default to like a new fantasy. Mm. And I guess that's kind of where all these dream sequences come from is, eventually the lie implodes on Romand to the point where he's lying to himself and his own brain can't handle it. So he's just tripping balls and shit.
Yeah.
But the fun part about a lot of Romand and, Monstruo in general is trying to figure out where the kind of fiction ends and the truth begins. It's like his dad really was a forestry person. He actually was like with his dog. He actually did go to a gun store and buy all that odd equipment. And you say the gun laws are lax in America. This dude walked in, obviously not knowing anything about guns. Can I get a silencer and some bear mace?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious, France, with your bullshit right now?
I think you could get away with that in Texas, though. But
I bet.
Texas, you come equipped with bear mace and a gun from birth.
I think they give it to you when you cross the state line. But the part that the early part of the story is also fascinating when he's just a child and he's even lying then. He's pretending he's someone else and making up all these stories from the year before. And then when he realizes he can't get away with it, he hides away all summer.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that kid when you were younger, then you were that kid. He's always got a girlfriend in another state. He's always going on crazy vacations, but like you see his parents at the supermarket when he's supposed to be gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I might have been that kid because I remember telling my friends that my dad was a wrestler in the WWF. So maybe I am that kid.
Oh, wow.
But I guess the difference between you and most people is you grow out of it.
Yes.
You don't try to defraud the World Health Organization.
No.
You go sit in their library with fake business cards all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sadness to that because there's a sort of this very lonely character behind it. This person that desperately needs to be someone more important than they think they are.
The most interesting thing to me, and obviously it's something we can't really go into in this story, that I was thinking about and I really couldn't bring it out, was whether or not Ramond, if like his people would have stuck by him if they learned the truth. Like if he was actually just completely wrong. Obviously he shouldn't have killed his wife and kids, that goes without saying. But like, do you think they would have forgiven him? You know?
Well, that's interesting. It wouldn't have mattered, in my opinion. Like he thought he was doing them a favor, as if they'd be ruined emotionally if they discovered what he'd done. And that is indicative of him believing that the world revolved around him.
Yeah.
That they would be that ruined by that, like the narcissism of this guy. And the mental illness. I mean, Tyler did a great job of putting across this mental illness that he had when he's walking through the hallway and he sees the photos of his children and they're looking at him and shit. And even the dog is turning its face to that shining stuff,
Yeah.
It's all throughout this. There's this mental illness he's making it real through the telling of it. It's amazing.
When the dog turns his back on you, you're beyond redemption.
No doubt.
And the scene, the most horrible scene of all, which is when he murders his wife with that rolling pin.
Yeah.
The way that's described, the way that she looks at him, and it's almost this sweet moment. And then the incredible violence that follows. It's shocking.
That's going to become like a signature of Monstruo, I think, from now that I'm re-listening to him. It's like you're lulled in through this tale, like everything, like you just said, Mike. It seems very calm and serene, and then all of a sudden the music jumps and bam, right? That happens in Volk as well when he stabs Mayang in the neck. It's like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on here, right? I don't enjoy it, but I mean, I think that it's very effective.
Yeah, that was kind of a hard one for me to write. I didn't like. I like Ramond. I like it as an episode. I don't like killing kids.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, well, what about the fucking dog, man? I was listening to this with a close friend of mine, and with the part at the end where he kills his parents, and it's like, oh no, you hear about the dog. Oh no, not the dog. Oh God, no, not the dog. And then you trick the audience for a second, and then he shoots the dog.
Yeah, pats it on the head first and everything, eh?
Yeah.
Come here, little fella. Jesus.
Oh man, no, but dude, yeah, you can't kill the dog. I always thought.
I mean, the dog wasn't going to tell anyone.
No, the dog would have been fine.
I mean, I don't have a dog and all that. I know you guys are very close to animals, and so I'm on the opposite end of it. But sure, it bothers me a bit. But the killing of the little girl, when she's her bottom in the air and she slumps down to lay just like a little lady. I think we should talk about that because there's a few times when we do that. when Tyler got a hold of me after he wrote that, he's like, dude, I need to go get like fucking take a sage bath. The thing about that is that obviously we're writing and telling the story from the killer's point of view, and we're not saying that ourselves. I mean, we're imagining what he might be thinking, you know. It happens a few times where we'll use words like whore or, you know, homophobic slurs in the future episodes here.
Yeah.
And I know that the audience is smart enough, but there's a lot of dummies out there, let's be honest. And they'll think that we're saying that we believe in that type of talk, you know, but we're just trying to make it realistic and coming from that killer's perspective in the way that they might think or speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, Jack, we have talked about this before. I don't think we need to make the after show into an apology session for every episode.
I'm Canadian, man.
And Canadian blood got the better of him.
I apologize for apologizing.
I apologize. Sorry.
For the record, I don't condone killing women and children.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what Mike's saying?
Now that's out of the way.
Do you want to make a long disclaimer for every episode?
Dude,
I'll try.
How long will we have to talk to get through the appropriate trigger warnings for every fucking episode of Monster?
That's why trigger warnings are absurd, because
I mean,
you're not going to... Look, everybody has a different line. Everybody has a different line. And if you're going to start trying to appease everyone and trying to figure out what everyone's line is and trying to apologize in advance for what they may or may not be triggered by or what they will hear that will upset them, it's a never-ending fucking absurdity. You can't do it. I mean, you're always going to piss someone off no matter how many trigger warnings you issue and how much apologizing you do. But
yeah,
I don't think we should concern ourselves with that. If you're listening to Monstruo and you're easily triggered, take some personal responsibility, because you're a fucking idiot.
Dude, how did you make it through the whole episode?
How did you make it through the first 10 minutes?
I physically, I can't stand this. It's killing me. But I listened to the whole entire hour of it. I am traumatized. I just couldn't put it down. It was too good.
Yeah.
I like the people on the opposite side of the spectrum that are coming out of the woodwork and being like, Mike, sword and scale isn't doing it enough for me. I need something stronger. And Mike's like, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, I had one guy who said to me before the show first aired that if Monstruo didn't make him throw up and literally shit himself, he'd be severely disappointed.
Oh.
I will be too. I mean, dude, I say the first half of the season is a little tamer than the second half. Because we just hit our stride, and then it got ridiculous. I'm no spoilers. I just cannot wait for certain episodes. I'm stoked.
Yeah. I really do think we hit our stride. I mean, I don't think you can get more extreme of an audio program without literally rebroadcasting a snuff film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or just being like edgy. I think the cool thing about this is it's not edgelord nonsense. You know, it's not a slasher film. It's actually like just that perfect balance of like really good writing and great production and just like full on Eli Roth plus levels of like gore and stuff, and only right when it comes, you know.
Yeah.
You don't spend the whole time in a bloodbath, so by the time you actually get to the messed up parts, the fucked up shit, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
The best parts of Monstruo are the psychological darkness that leads up to the horrible act. Really, I think it's those pieces in between that sort of tell the human story that you can sort of connect with, sort of identify with, in a way, and then it leads to this place that nobody should be able to identify with suddenly.
Yeah, I agree. It's the one thing that's missing from.
Let's let Jack talk for a minute, because he's been trying to get another word in first.
I'm
afraid to talk. Yeah, I'm a Canadian. Yeah, I'm in the back here. No, I agree. I think what I was going to say is like a lot of people said that we're overhyping this thing, you know, on our teaser and all that, and you know that's maybe possible, but you gotta let people know and drag them in, and maybe some people were coming in. If Mike and I had done this on our own, it probably would have just been a complete bloodbath. But by bringing Tyler Bell in, I think he has more morals than Mike and I might have, to be honest with you.
He's a Marine. He shot people.
Yeah, right. Maybe that gives it to him. But he really lent some, there's the act itself, and I've said it before, the very violent act that we already spoke about, obviously, that makes the podcast that drew us to it. But Tyler brings all this, the lead up and the lead out, and humanizes a lot of these killers and stuff a lot better than I believe that I could have. It would have, honest to God, it would have been an absolute bloodbath, like you guys said, if it had just been Mike and myself. So I'm glad Tyler came on, because it really made it. We're not just kicking you in the face with this stuff the way that we said we were. We really are telling a story, and there are things to be learned from each of these stories with what Tyler has lent to them. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, there are some hidden morals.
I think it would have been more of a cook fest with penises just everywhere,
Jesus.
like episode 1.
Everywhere.
Oh my God.
Everywhere.
I am not responsible for the half-hour dick eating scene. I didn't write that. I have nothing against it.
Shout out Evan.
Shout out. Word up to Evan. Respect to your science, my friend. Didn't know you could get that many adjectives around a human dick.
All right, I think on that we can end it here. That'll do it. Next up, we have a pretty chilling case. This is going to be a story that's going to feel very different than the last one, almost mystical, almost magical in a way, but pretty fascinating nonetheless.
No doubt.
Man, Ramond was a blast to write, but I'm glad I'm done with him. It was, I think of, almost every single subject that we have on Monstruo is detestable to some degree. Ramond is the only one that I hate personally. I like, because he's just such a fucking worm.
Yeah.
Everybody else has an excuse but him, to some degree. I mean, not a justification, but like, at least they were insane or misguided to some degree. Ramond is just a coward, and I hate him.
Yeah, he's very selfish.
on that positive note.
Well, very selfish, and I believe there's probably some mental illness involved, but overriding it all, right from childhood. I mean, a very selfish person, a liar. And what I would like to say about it is that I like that we were able to put in. We're not sure that he felt this way, but like how he blamed Florence for not taking down the Christmas tree, or criticized her for that. As he's going up to pick up his son to go kill him upstairs, he's thinking to himself, Florence should have fucking taken down those Christmas lights already, So it was what a story, man. It really pulled it out, Tyler. Kudos.
Well, thanks, guys.
All right, so we'll see you here next week with the next installment of Monstruo.
See you guys.
Yeah, see you next week.
Monstruo is an Incongruity Media production. The original soundtrack to Monstruo is available on iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify, and just about everywhere else you listen to music. Merch, such as t-shirts, tank tops, and caps, can be ordered at monstruopodcast.com. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave us a positive review.